Hello, welcome back. In this last video, we started looking at object-oriented programming in Python. One of the key aspects of object-oriented programming is inheritance. It is where you use an existing class and create a new class that inherits all of the functions and properties that the original class had, and then you kind of add more to it to create a child class. Again, if you're new to object-oriented programming, this might be vague at this point. We're going to look at an example to hopefully make it more clear. But this video, we are going to focus on how to do inheritance of classes in Python. So let's switch to the IDE. I want to start with the class that we created in the last video, which is the employee class. We had 4 properties for employee: name, age, salary, and location. And we created 2 objects of with the properties, different properties or values for those properties. But we created 2 objects for the class. Now we're going to see how to inherit this particular one. So I am going to create a new file, and I'm going to name it managertest.py. I'm going to go to employee test, copy everything, and put it in manager test and save it. I didn't want to update the previous file. I just wanted it to be an example for class and object. I'm going to use the manager test to show how inheritance works, which is why I created a new program and just copied it. Now let's say we want to create another class that has the same properties as employee, but much more. Let's think about a company where the employees don't have bonuses. I know that would suck, but for an example, we can use that. But the managers have bonuses, right? But if you think about it, a manager is also an employee of the company. So the properties such as name, age, salary, and location applies to the manager as well. But let's say the manager also has an additional property called bonus. Instead of creating another class manager defining all of these again, we can simply create a manager class and inherit the properties from employee, because it's applicable to the manager also, but just add one more property to the manager called bonus. That would make it much more simpler, and it would also help in not having to duplicate the code, right? By defining the same things for the manager, although this is all shared properties between employee and manager. To inherit, you will say class manager, and in parentheses you will mention the class that the manager will inherit. So in this case, the manager is going to inherit from employee. And just like we saw the last time, we're going to have to define a constructor in it. It will also start with a self parameter, can be anything from a name perspective. The first parameter will be used to talk about that particular object, and then we'll have name, age, salary, location, and now a bonus, a colon. Now we don't need to define the constructor for these properties again, because it's already part of the employee. We're going to reuse, right? That's the whole point of inheriting. You will just call the employees in it. Now I'm going to type this and then explain. So there's self, name, age, salary, and location, and then say self dot bonus equals bonus. It might be a lot, so let's just go through it. We are defining a constructor for the manager, which is needed. It has a self parameter, as we saw earlier. This is self too, this is self, doesn't matter. But then we are receiving these properties, name, salary, age, and location, just like the employee, but another property also called bonus. Now, the employee class knows how to handle the first 4 parameters, right? We don't need to code that again in manager. So we're going to just delegate that assignment, the assignment of the 4 parameters, to the employee class. So the parent class. In this case, the parent is the employee, the child class is the manager. The parent class already knows how to handle these 4 parameters, so we're just going to delegate that to the parent's constructor. That's basically what's happening here. But then the parent does not know about bonus, so the manager constructor will have to handle the bonus separately. So the end result of this would be a manager object would be created with the 4 properties assigned through the constructor of the parent, and the final property bonus assigned through this statement in this constructor. When we see an example, it might be even more clearer, but hopefully you understand why we are calling the employees in it here and not typing the same code here again. And similarly, let's add a print also. Print manager. Again, it'll be self colon. Just like we call the constructor here, we're going to call the employees print employee, because we don't need to type those print again, right? We're just going to use leverage the print employee method that's already defined and just print the bonus here. Because the employee does not know anything about the bonus, we have to handle the printing of the bonus. It's as simple as that. Now coming back here, now I'm going to create 2 objects just like the last time, but in this case I'm going to create m1 equals manager. Let's say Jennifer 35, salary is a manager, so we'll just up it to 50,000. And then the location, let's say, would be SFO, and then the bonus we'll give what, 10%, 5,000.78. I like using floats just to show the difference between an integer and a float in the examples. And then we can just call print manager, and I'm going to define another manager, m2 equals manager David 45, salary is same 50,056. This manager is also in SFO and about 4,000.56. Again, m2 dot print manager. So just to recap, we created a manager subclass or a child class from parent class employee. We defined an additional property called bonus, but we kind of used the same property from the parent for everything else. And we used the constructor here, and then we also defined a print manager. We delegated the printing of the 4 properties to employee, and then the 5th one, bonus, is printed here. And maybe add print manager info. Okay, let's try to run it, see what happens. Whoa, we got a lot displayed here, so let me make it bigger. So we have employee details John, which is this, and then we have the employee details Mike, which is this. Now this is the new thing, right? So I'm just going to highlight it. So employee details Jennifer 35, the salary, SFO, location, and then manager info 5,000. So I added this print manager info here to kind of show that the execution actually came here. So what happened is, when we called the print manager on Jennifer, it called the print employee and it displayed the first 4, Jennifer, age, the salary, and the location, and then it printed manager info, which is this, and then the manager's bonus, which is the 5,000.78 displayed here. And the same thing happened for David, who's also a manager. It displayed all of the employee properties, and then the manager info, and then the bonus, which is 4,000.56. So this is how you will create a subclass or a child class from a parent class, and then use the properties that are defined in the parent class, but also add additional properties as needed, and call the parents methods wherever applicable. So hopefully this showed how inheritance works in Python. It's a very powerful concept. I will highly encourage you to do a lot more examples just to make sure you understand it, because it is one of the key aspects of object-oriented programming. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.